As always, feel free to share this with everybody else. Anyone you know that you think will enjoy it or like it or whatever it is. We try to keep it short and sweet. If we ever want to change just the way we do it, I'm always happy to add more discussion. And whenever you guys would like, that's just a stylistic thing, whatever is more helpful. But obviously, we're happy to do that. Okay. So this is a really, really important Torah portion. It's actually called by one of my favorite, what do they call it? Anglo-biblical names. Not sure what they call it, but if that's the right terminology. Jethro, right? Jethro is kind of an awesome name. You can think of different Jethro Marks. There's been a few, pretty famous Jethros over the years, but it's a pretty cool name. But
Jethro
obviously,
Tull.
Jethro, exactly right there. You go. You got it.
Jethro
Jason, there
Tull.
you go.
Yeah.
Give me some flute, baby.
That's right. Nothing wrong
That's
with
right.
Jethro Tull. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jethro from the Beverly Hillbillies.
Yep. There we go. That's right. Well, he got his. That's a Bible name right there. That's right.
That's all the Jethros I ever heard
of. Why is this Torah portion so important? Lots of reasons. Obviously, the main reason why it's so important is because this is the Torah portion that we have the climax of why the world was created. The whole world was created for the moment of this week's Torah portion. The revelation at Mount Sinai, the Torah, God's wisdom, is taken up from the heavens and brought down into this world. It is shared with mankind as a public, as a national experience. As it shook the world, literally, the whole world changed from that moment on, and it's a monumental moment for the Jewish people, for the world, for God. And this is really where God created a certain space for himself in this world. And we say the Torah, the language that we have in the Torah is Vayi Erev, behold, it was evening. Vayi Boker, behold, it was morning. Right? Yom HaShishi, right? The sixth day. You ever see those you ever see those signs that says beware of the dog? Right? You ever see this? Beware of the dog, and then it comes out and you see this little chihuahua. Yeah. And you're like, what? That's the dog, right? No, so obviously we talk about, right, this is the sixth day, not just referring to Shabbos, right? Friday leading into Shabbos, referring to the sixth day of the month of Sivan, which is when the Torah was brought down into the world, the sixth day. So it's already mentioned in the beginning verses of the Torah that there's going to be this essential time, this essential moment everything's being created for this sixth day, for the sixth day of Sivan, which is when the Torah was given to the world. Okay, so obviously that's a really important piece. When you look at the verses of the Torah, when it's talking about the Jewish nation was encamped right opposite the Har, right opposite the mountain, Mount Sinai. So if you look over there, there's a famous Rashi. And Rashi says that the language the Torah uses, it says, Vayichan Sham Yisrael Neged Har. The Jewish nation encamped opposite the mountain. But the language it should have said Vayachanu, and they camped opposite, but it uses a singular language. Same thing if you look at the verses of the Ten Commandments, they're also written in the singular form. If it's being given over to everybody, then why is it being expressed in a singular form? It should be expressed as you, right? Plural, the Jewish people, the nation, the world, right? Why is it writing it in singular? So it's something that many of the commentaries talk about. One idea is, or I guess the main idea that most of them speak about is, in order for the Torah to be given, in order for the world, for everything to line up properly, and for things to be the way they're ultimately supposed to be, there must be unity. The language Rashi uses is Ki'ish Echad, Belev Echad. The Jewish people at that moment, they were like one man, Ki'ish Echad, one man, like with one heart, Ki ish echad, belev echad, with one heart. There was a certain level of unity that existed at that time. Everybody was unified from a peaceful standpoint, unified from purpose, a unified connection with God. Everything was lined up. How did this happen, and what were some of the circumstances that needed to happen for this? Well, one of the things that need to happen is that the Torah itself was given upon Mount Sinai. Why Mount Sinai? Mount Sinai was not a very big mountain. It may have even really counted legally as a hill. There was a movie a number of years ago, maybe it was called The Hill, maybe, or something like that, where basically there was this town that for many years they were called Mount something or another. And they found out that so ridiculous. They found out that legally they were off by a certain amount of feet. So the entire city decided together they were going to make a chain, an assembly line, and they passed dirt up to the top of the hill, and they got themselves over the number of feet they needed to count. Whatever. Okay, that was sidebar. Sorry. So over here, Mount Sinai. Why did God? You guys can Google it later. Why did God go ahead and give the Torah specifically on Mount Sinai? Because of the fact that you needed to have this representation of anivus, of humility. In order for the world to be unified, in order for the world to be where it needs to be, for everything to line up, there's got to be humility. What gets in the way so often is the ego, right? I want to be well, guess what? You're not a Kohen. If you're not a Kohen, then you can't do that job. Well, I'm not I want to have the prime mitzvah of family purity. Well, guess what? You're not a lady. Too bad, right? Oh, I want the mitzvah of singing in the Beis Hamikdash. I'm sorry, you're not a Levite. It's just not your job. It's not your place. Well, so then there's the kvetching and the complaining that can come up that separate that. Once you start doing that, then you start pulling things apart and things can't line up right. Right? There's no I in team. Right? But the whole team could be an I if everyone's working together. We got this. We can do this. And that's when things can line up in the best space. It needs to be. There's got to be humility. There needs to be unity, a recognition. The word we use in Judaism, in Hebrew, right, for peace, what's the word we use? We use the word shalom. The word shalom means peace, okay, but what does the word shalom really mean? It comes from the word shalem, which means complete. It means complete. We help to complete each other. Nobody can accomplish all 613 mitzvahs of the Torah on their own. It's not possible. It's impossible for a person to accomplish all those things. If I'm not a firstborn, so guess what? There's mitzvahs that apply to firstborns that don't apply to me. I'm not a firstborn. Doesn't apply to me. So you know what? Well, I couldn't do the mitzvah, but everyone's supposed to try to accomplish all 613 mitzvahs. So guess what? I'll ensure, I'll help, I'll be part of it, making sure people know that if they're a firstborn boy, then they have this particular mitzvah. If you're, other firstborn mitzvahs that could be involved in regards to inheritance and those kinds of things. If someone's a Kohen, we went to Israel with a group of guys. No one's on here from that trip. And Jeffrey, I don't know if they did it by our trip. No, they did. Did they do the group priestly blessing at our trip, Jeff? They did, right? On top of Masada.
On top, they did the simulated bar mitzvah.
They did the bar mitzvah, but I don't know if they remember if they did this or not. But on the next trip, one that I went on with Mark and Harry and Brett and all those guys. So on that trip, they did a group bar priestly blessing, and there were people on the trip that never had heard of that, and it's a really special, unique opportunity and mitzvah for a Kohen to be able that they have the power to be the conduit to bring certain types of blessings into the world or onto the Jewish people, onto the community. So many people on that trip knew nothing about it. So it was an amazing opportunity, an educational opportunity, a mitzvah opportunity. So we help the Kohanim that were on the trip to learn about it. They went off to the side. They learned a little bit. They heard like a few minute class about it. And they had the beautiful opportunity as a group, 20 or 30 Kohanim on top of Masada, right? Unbelievable guys having their bar mitzvahs for the first time. And there's a whole group of probably 20 or 30 Kohanim who gave us the beautiful priestly blessings. And it was tremendous. What an amazing opportunity, right? So these kinds of things, the ability to enable others, to help others learn about their mitzvahs, learn about the Torah, learn about their Judaism. People always like to ask me, is your goal, Rabbi, you always trying to make people religious? I said, slow down. I said, the Torah and Judaism is not mine. It's ours. I'm here to share. I'm here to share with as many people as possible, to share the Judaism that's already our beautiful tradition, our beautiful inheritance. And there's just so many people that don't know about it. So to be part of helping people learn about it, learn what's theirs already. If someone knew that they, I remember this one time, I don't know if they ever listened to this. If they listen, then they'll know it was them, but I won't tell anybody who it was. One time I was had a conversation with somebody, and they said to me, Noach, I think we need to slow down a little bit our with our spending time together. I said, why? What happened? What did I do wrong? They said that somebody told me that our relationship can only continue, will only stay as strong as it is if I get more religious like you. I said, what? I said, I said, I'm not going to ask who told you that. I said, he said, well, what do you mean you're always trying to get me to study Torah? So I said to this friend of mine, I said, one second. If you knew that I was struggling in a particular area, or if you knew that I really appreciated a certain type of book or a certain type of entertainment or history, whatever it might be, and you read a book or you listened to a podcast or watched a movie or a documentary that was about that, right? Of course you would share it with me. Of course, yeah. If you knew that I was struggling in a certain area of parenting, right, and you had a suggestion, of course I want you to share it with me. If you had a therapist that was good for you, of course I want you to share it with me. As a friend, you would share it with me. I said the Torah is something that speaks to every aspect of my life. There is not a thing that goes on in the Karp house, in Noach Karp's family, in Miriam's Karp family, in our lives, that the Torah doesn't speak to, doesn't enlighten it, doesn't give some sort of meaningful understanding or connection or clarity about life. So that's the book I've read that has guided me through my entire life. And it still does to this day. When I'm not sure about something, I talk to Hashem about it. I talk to my mentors about it. They might tell me to go study a little bit more about that mitzvah so I understand it a little better and I get a more clarity about it. The Torah speaks to everything in my life. So how can I not share it with somebody else? That has nothing to do with now look, maybe if someone studies more Torah, they might learn about more mitzvahs. They might be more interested in certain things. That's possible, right? But to share the Torah, it's not my Torah. It was given to us as a people, right? Just a few years ago, 3,336 years ago is when we got the Torah. It's not that long ago. It's only about 80 or so generations. It's not that long ago, right? We got this. It's ours. So that's what I told this fellow. So that's why so what's amazing about this is that we need to have that unity. We need to have that recognition of how I need you and you need me. We need to encourage each other to accomplish amazing things. We need to go ahead and say, look, there's a mitzvah that I can't do. But guess what? You're a Kohen and you could do it. I'm gonna go ahead and try to help you do that. Right? Even somebody who's, there's a mitzvah to go visit someone when they're sick. Right? Now, obviously, we prefer they weren't sick for us to go visit them. Right? But the opportunity is, the beautiful opportunity to be so thoughtful and caring and concerned for somebody else to go visit them while they're not well, right? Of course we should do that. And that's what goes ahead and makes a connection between the two of us, between us as a people. The ability went ahead, tremendous. The other day, somebody just posted something on Facebook to one of the groups that I'm in. They said, look, I don't usually post on here very often, but unfortunately one of my relatives is sick. I'd love to, if people could say some Tehillim for them. So what a tremendous way to go ahead and use, right? Use our world of social media, our world of, the world is so small nowadays. The opportunity to go ahead, and I've talked about this before. I was just at a conference last week. The reason why we couldn't get together last week. I saw one of the rabbis there. His name is Rabbi Shapiro from Atlanta. Tremendous, amazing individual. And I showed him just to give him a little strength. He has a daughter, a little girl who's very sick. Right now, she's much more stable. She had a stroke a year or so ago, and there's a chat that I have on my WhatsApp over here. I showed him. I said my pocket's buzzing. He said, "Why do I care about your pocket buzzing?" I said my pocket's buzzing because whenever I can, I try to say Tehillim for your daughter right here, Eliana Necha Bas Rachel. Boom, right here. Every moment that people have there, all day long. There's people that whenever they have a chance, when they stop at the stoplight or they're waiting at the elevator or whatever it is, right? It says over here, the last person did chapter 5 and chapter 6 of Psalms. So if I have a few moments, I'll click and I'll put in there 7, 8. I'll open my phone to an app. I'll say chapter 7 and 8 of Psalms. The whole world's connected. There's people on here from Israel, people on here from Australia. They're all saying the same book, right? And we finish the book multiple times. We pray together as the world is so small. Just imagine all of us standing around one little mountain. There's no room for egos. There's only room for connection and helping each other out. We're one people. We look different. We smell different. We talk different. That might be. That's the beauty of the Jewish people. It was 12. Imagine 12 brothers. What does 12 brothers look like? They don't look the same. They don't act the same. They may have some things that are the same mannerisms, perhaps. We're talking about 12 separate tribes with different personalities and different talents and skills and different cadence. Right? Everyone's got it different, but there was that unity. There was that recognition. There was that unity of mission, that recognition of nationhood, of brotherhood, of family that we are. And this is something that shook the whole world, changed the whole world. It's never been the same since the moment of this week's Torah portion, when we got the Torah, the revelation that happened then. And what it's done to us and what's done to the world has created a moral compass for the entire world. So just a little food for thought for this week. Go ahead, check out the Torah portion. It's a pretty short one. It's one of the shortest portions of the entire Torah, which is interesting. It might be the most important one in some ways, but it's actually one of the smallest portions of the entire Torah. And read through it. It's amazing. You can see the 10 Commandments, those mitzvahs that are there, Shabbos, and honoring your mother and father so beautifully the way that the Mitchell did and others have. And it's just a tremendous opportunity. So if you get a chance, check it out. It's in the book of Exodus, and it's phenomenal. Just look for Jethro. He'll be waiting for you.
Rav Noach, was there much written about what the other nations responded to after Hashem gave us the Torah?
There's some written. There's some regret that was out there. That there definitely was. A certain amount of, first there was reverence at a certain point. Then there was a certain amount of reverence, and then there was some jealousy that played itself out, which is why people were actually scared of the Jewish people. As we travel through more of the Torah portions, we'll see the nations that were like, just stay away, don't come near us. We don't want anything to do with this. Like, just do your thing. Ultimately, that changed. It would have been perfect if we would have gone straight to Israel. Everything would have been great. But of course, we messed that up because we had to fetch and complain, and that's what we do. But there, there's some interesting famous midrash that talks about before the Torah was given to the Jewish people, how there was some sort of opportunity that the nations of the world had to go ahead and actually participate or be part of it. And those nations all refused for whatever reason it was that the Torah didn't quite speak to them. But they all had that opportunity to be part of it. Ultimately, they say nowadays, a beautiful idea. I think we talked about it a little bit in the past. But ultimately, there was an idea that all future converts from that point forward were actually the individuals that were part of those nations that said, no, we want the Torah. So ultimately, though, the future the descendants of those individuals that wanted to be part of it they actually converted later on, or they're still converting to today, whatever it is, which is a beautiful idea of the nations coming back together as one. Amazing. Any other thoughts, questions, rebuttals?
Yeah. So, Rabbi, are you saying this small mountain was equipped to bring the whole nation together? Is that what you're?
Well, we all think the events leading up to Mount Sinai, were what got us to the right space, right? Got us all to be in the right place for such an experience. And the lessons taken from Mount Sinai are really to teach us how to approach our Judaism, how to approach the Torah and the mitzvos. Is from a place of humility, right? That's the way that we should approach it. We should approach it with a certain amount of reverence, which is why we weren't allowed to touch the mountain, right? There's a mitzvah you'll see in the Torah portion. You can't actually physically touch the mountain. We weren't allowed to. We had to go ahead and put a fence around to make sure nobody got too close. But if you look closely at the details of what led up to the actual Kabbalah Torah, it's amazing the lessons that we can use as we apply to our own personal journeys in Judaism and communal journeys as in Judaism. Yep.
Okay.
You know,
Okay, amazing.
I've often thought the Torah, like other people's holy books or Aristotle or Plato, the Torah exists for all humanity. The less, as you point out, Rabbi, the lessons learned, and even the people in the Torah are all of us. We all have aspects of these people. Like my favorite story is Jacob wrestling all night with the Ish, because I see myself in that wrestling match as representing much of my early life, a struggle, and I came out, pretty much unscathed, some damage, but not permanent. And I see myself in that. And I think that's one way of looking at every story and every lesson in Torah.
Yeah.
And I think that's beautiful that you said that.
Yep, exactly. It's there for right. It creates that moral compass for all of us. It's amazing. Phenomenal. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. All right. I'm going to jump on to the next, to my conference over here. Everyone's having an amazing Shabbos, a meaningful Shabbos. Everyone should stay well. Everyone should be well.
Take care, everybody.
And don't get too cold anywhere. Will, so great to see you.
Thank you.
All right. Everyone, great to see everybody. We don't always get to have Will
Nice
on
to see
Wednesdays, so
all
it's
of you.
great. Sounds like a great sitcom, Will on Wednesdays. All right. We'll do it. All right. Have an awesome one. Take
Bye,
care.
everybody.
Shalom.
Hey,